cycle that keeps going is what's causing the genocide. This corruption of the Arab countries is only maintained by the scholars that continue to say that you can never boycott. You know, you can never protest, you can never go against the ruler, obey the Muslim ruler. Even if he's corrupt, even if he has embezzled and taken millions and billions of rupees or dollars or whatever, still he's the Muslim ruler. No matter how corrupt he is, no matter if he's making deals with Israel, no matter if he's funding genocide, you can never go against them. Because why? Because apparently it's haram to go against the Muslim ruler. Oh, okay. How complicit really are they? And the answer is that they are very complicit. Because without these scholars, you would not have the governments. You would not have the maintenance of the status quo, where the scholars say never, ever, 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 ever disobey the ruler. You would not have these rulers doing whatever they want, you know, living in ultra luxury, being complicit, taking all the money for themselves, the greed and the lies being spread. Without these scholars, you would not have the leaders. Without the leaders, you would not have Israel's unlimited aggression to do whatever they want. So it's only with this vicious cycle that keeps going is what's causing the genocide. This corruption of the Arab countries is only...
In this part, we discuss how scholars who were trusted by Allah, who were to lead, they have become the reason that tyrant governments always prevailed over Islamic government. It has been true soon after Rashedun Caliphate, and it has been true today. No exception. It was actually known that the collapse of the Khilafa would be with disappearance of ilm or truly guided ulama. Shaitan knows that. That's why Shaitan does everything possible that people cannot seek true knowledge. Shaitan's stooges, the bad rulers, they also know that. And we'll see in this presentation how they attacked the good alim, good ulama, and how bad ulama, so-called ulama, opposed real Islam. So let's look at the history and knowledge is always in history. So every time we have to go back to the history, and what better source of history than Quran? Sure enough, Shaitan's deception started with Adam and Eve. So how did they manage? How did Shaitan manage to deceive them? They forgot to use aql. In the previous presentation on personal resetting, I talked about how every sin, every wrongful action could be averted by using aql. So the problem of Adam and Eve, right from the beginning, was what? Shaitan told them that if you go to the tree, you'll stay here forever. They forgot to use aql. So what would be the aql there? Allah said, not too long ago, that only thing you are supposed to not do, you can do everything, but do not go to the tree. And if you go to the tree, you become among zalim. You fall off. become oppressor of yourself. It's very simple. But to their credit, as soon as they realized that, oops, we forgot to use akal, they got back, they repented. That's why I say, no sin, you do not have a proper course unless you repent and recognize what was your malfunction, what was your cognitive malfunction that led you to do this sin. If you do not recognize, there is no point repenting. Because repenting literally involves recognizing your fault and take ownership of that. Own up and say, please forgive me for this. Not a random repentance, so outwardly you just hope it goes everything all right. It doesn't go because you know why? Shaitan is always there. Shaitan will tell you that nothing happened, just repeat the cycle, and you fall in the same cycle over and over again. Next action was Kabil when he killed Habil. Right? We know that. Here, it was not a cognitive problem. It was lust. And this is the formation of Maghdoub. From Maghdoub, he could not recover. Dhalala, you can. But if it is deliberate because of a bad intention, and you know from Quran that Qabil's sacrifice was not accepted, Allah knows his intention because it was not sincere. So this is the problem with Maghdoub. They are incapable. They do not have the ability to do good intention. Just like Shaitan. So if your intention is not good, you have no recourse. Fixing your akal is not going to settle it because akal involves good intention. Anytime, real Muslims will always resort to Quranic verses. For instance, in 459, Allah tells us, obey Allah and His Rasul and the one in legitimate authority over you, not some random tyrant. Legitimate authority over you. Even Allah doesn't stop there. Even then, the authority, whoever it is giving you an order that you know that it's in conflict with Allah's order and Prophet's order, you resort to Quran and Hadith again. With that spirit, Khalifa Umar's time, the most powerful man on earth at the time, could be crossed by a mere woman during his State of the Union speech. That Omar, how dare you say something that contradicts Quran and Hadith? And he corrected himself. That's Islam. Islam is not blind following of anybody. You always have to come back to Quran and Hadith. Today, try to exercise that one. In any country, I dare you. You cross the ruler, you're crucified. Even in Iran, even in Afghanistan, it doesn't matter. So we do not have a proper Khilafa. In a proper Khilafa, you have the liberty, you have the freedom to criticize, just like you had the freedom in Prophet's time, in Khalifah Rashedun time. Prophet used to love being questioned. And we did that in the last episode. Shaitan hates question. Prophet used to love it. Questions expose your intention. If you have good intention, your question should be perfect. If you have bad intention, you'll be exposed. That's why Prophet used to love question. And he said, literally, the questioning is the remedy to ignorance. It's a cure to ignorance. So Quran is right there. 465, on the other hand, tells you that if you are faced with an order from Hadith, Prophet's order, you have to obey that wholeheartedly. Allah uses the term silm, which is submission, twice in the same ayah. You have to submit. What is there to discuss? What is there to dispute? What is there to find holes into? Yet, throughout history, they have been ignored. And so-called ulama, so-called scholars have completely abandoned this path and did everything possible to justify tyranny. Tyrants always had this alibi from bad guys. History taught us that, and we'll review that today. Also, Quran is very clear. In 5:159, it said, do not divide. It's not an option. Allah is ordering us not to. And today you try to tell anybody that, brother, I don't follow any sect, I follow Islam, you are either Wahhabi or Salafi or you are Kafir. The most hated group in any Muslim country today, most hated, belongs to this group that says, no, we have to go by what Allah said, what Prophet said. That's the most hated. So literally, the only group Prophet said has hope for us, 1 out of 73, that's the only group everybody's against. And that tells you why, when Mahdi comes, his followers would be the smallest. The whole group will fit in Uhud mountain, in one mountain. Everybody else, like out of the 2 billion, everybody else would be opposite. So don't try to tell me that Islam is about consensus. Don't try to tell me it's about popularity. Islam has never been popular at no time, and we'll see history. At no time, majority supported Islam. At no time, in no community. Then I remind you the punishment for fasad. Fasad it could be treason, it could be even manufacturing illegal things. It is why the pollution is a fasad. Manufacturing wine is a fasad. Manufacturing today, scientifically manufacturing medicine is a fasad. So Allah is very clear. What is the punishment? Crucifixion, death, crucifixion, cutting hands off and feet of the opposite sides, and exile. These Muslim countries have reserved for real Muslims the most tortured. And we'll see example, even from early time, the most oppressed, they were supposed to treat fasad with these punishments. The mufsidun, the fasad doers, have ascended to power and caused the same punishment to the righteous people. completely upside down. And that history is 1400 years old. No exception. But Quran is clear. So don't tell me, how do you know? Maybe they were right. No, there is no if and maybe. If you have any heart, if you have any conscience, it's very clear. Throughout history, you have trusted the Mufsidun, the fasad maker, to the helm. You have elected them. You have chosen to make them leaders or submitted to them, pledged allegiance to them, fought on their behalf. And then you have a hope to go to heaven. I always say, knowledge is in history, but we have to have delineated history. You know what it means? This history cannot be written by the victor. Shaitan has written our history because Shaitan has been ruling since demise of the righteous Khilafa, caliphs. So that history is not going to help us. We have to look at history from delineated perspective. We have to analyze with Quran and Hadith and use our aql. Then we'll find the truth. So we have these examples, and these are by all means, these are the most righteous in modern history that started with Prophet Muhammad as the last messenger. Some argue, quite correctly, that they are as honorable, even more honorable than previous prophets. Because ulama are the inheritor of the prophet, aren't they? And we'll talk about how these ulama, they were the leaders, political leaders, how they have been treated by the followers of Shaitan. Abu Bakr, do you know this? As soon as he became the leader, 100,000, these are Muslims, 100,000 took up arms against him. Young Khalifa, just freshly started. Prophet just died. And what was their reason? Money. We would pay zakat, but we would not give to the state. Very simple. Doesn't it look, well, like, no big deal? That's how Shaitan works. No big deal? What do you mean no big deal? Prophet did that. There is no big deal when it comes to Prophet. Yet only Abu Bakr, only guy, he said, I'm going alone. Even Omar did not support. Ali did not support. Osman did not support. He was alone. So think about this. The best of companions, best of humanity, only one guy could use the aql and say, no, this is not right. I'm going to fight, even if I'm alone. To the credit of the other guys who did not see with their aql at the time, they obeyed. Remember, you have to, 459, you have to obey Allah, Prophet, and the leader. He was the legitimate leader, so they obeyed him. Can you imagine? 100,000 they had to fight. 1,300 Hafiz of Quran were martyred. Such a big fitna. Yet idiots tell you the first fitna started with Usman or with Ali and Usman and all this nonsense. No, Its fitna is always there. The shaitan is always there. So those guys, new Muslims, they were not murtad at the time. They were not declared murtad. Actually, everybody was supporting them, thinking that no big deal. They all pay zakat, but they will pay themselves, not to the state. That was the only dispute. Only Abu Bakr opposed it, and they followed up. So the ones who did not like that, they simply could not ask this question to themselves. Remember what I said? If you fail to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Then you are following shaitan. So what warrants taking up arms against the Khalif? How would you do that? But they didn't. They fought and they got killed and they all went to Jahannam. Umar had a very decent Khilafa. No uprising from among Maghdoub Muslims, quote unquote. But what was it? He was assassinated by a pagan. By the way, the 100,000 new Muslims, they were all funded by Persian Emperor. So you will always find some big shaitan is funding them, just like today it's the US. So that big shaitan of the time, Persian Empire, funded this assassin. It's not enough that he was killed. He killed Khalifa Umar. Much later, 13th century, they made a monument to commemorate the guy. Can you imagine? They made a shrine to celebrate the kafir who killed Umar. What kind of mentality is that? How much stupid you have to be? And then, yet they say, well, brother, this is the Shia Sunni thing. No, it's the stupidity thing. It's not Shia Sunni. It's stupidity. And that stayed on. Do you know? It was created, what, in 16th century? It stayed on. A shrine made for this kafir rotting in hell to commemorate him. The same guy is, for 200 years, they ruled Iran. And nobody asked, how do you allow supporting shirk and kufr? People say, well, that's Shia, 12 Imam people. It's not true. If you see history, 10 out of 12, they were real good people. They were not sectarian. They were all mattered. They fought the establishment, fought the Satanic establishment, but follow up those who deified these 12 Imam, they became so obnoxious, so anti-Islam, so follower, such big stooge of shaitan, they built a shrine of the killer. So Maghdoub is not new thing. It's not a Shia Sunni thing. It was always there. It starts off with losing your uncle. So you see the disconnection. 10 out of 12 imams were martyred, and they had nothing against Omar. They're all righteous people. Yet their followers hate Omar so much that they build a shrine for the killer of Omar. And this is the fate of Satanism. Then comes Usman. People were unhappy because they felt, again, it's whisper of Shaitan. They felt that Usman was employing too many of his own kingsmen. It's nepotism. What does it say is forbidden? What does it say that if you do not like the appointments, rather than going to him, he start to fight? Actually, they argued this. These are the first generation Muslims. These are the best of Ummah. They use this logic. People said, we have to give up the real jihad because now we have to focus the internal enemy. So Khalifa became their enemy. And fighting Khalifa is more important than the fighting in jihad. Where is your logic, man? What happened? Shaitan made them Dhawalloon at that time, completely obsessed with Shaitan whispers. These are simple logics. They don't answer that question. Can you imagine? They lay siege on Usman's Khulafa. He's the most powerful man on earth at the time. And Usman's empire, or the Khilafa at the time, extended farthest, even farther than Omar's. And he's holed up in his house. What are you guys doing? What happened to Muslims? Even Ali left. Then Ali learned, to his credit, that they even won't allow delivery of water. Can you imagine the ruthlessness? We're talking about besieging Gaza. We're talking about not food being available. It's the most powerful man, most righteous person. They would not even allow water for him. So Ali comes back. And what does he do? He puts his sons. Even Abdullah bin Zubair, Hassan bin Ali, they were apparently injured, protecting Uthman. My question is, what happened to the rest of them? What are you guys doing? Your Khalifa is holed up, and they are not even allowing food and water. And you're just sitting or watching there? And you're best of Ummah? That's not enough. To Osman's credit, he said, I don't want any fight. You see, that's leadership. He did not want to fight because he didn't know what Allah said about fighting. If he kill one, he killed the entire humanity. He had that conviction. He had that iman. But the ones who did not, they had none. They had zero iman, zero conscience. They were not human. But those are the ones throughout history captured the power. Today, you're surprised how Arab leaders are working that way. Look at history. At no time, a better outside of Khilafa Rashedun, at no time we had a good leader. As a matter of fact, that's what he called kakistocracy. The worst people have been leading Ummah, the very worst. So Usman didn't want it, but after killing him, it's not enough, they killed him. Can you imagine? They would not even let him bury. We blame Israel for not allowing Yasser Arafat to be buried in Jerusalem, where he was born. But look at this. The Khalifa, the leader of the world, they would not even allow him to bury in a Muslim cemetery. He had to be buried in a Jewish cemetery. Imagine the audacity. Shaitan is so powerful in their mind. How does it start? You lose your akal. You have no rahmah. You have no ability to think. You have become the dumbest thing possible. And that's what Shaitan does to you. All the detractors of Osman could not ask this question to themselves. When is it allowed to take up arms against a legitimate Khalifa? When? We blame Kharajat and it became fashionable. Now anybody who actually does anything good, they say, oh, you're Kharaji. You see how they changed? Good has become bad and bad has become good. They don't call Arab leaders Kharajite who are making pact with Shaitan and Israel and big Shaitan, US. They're all fine. But Kharaj is whoever is opposing them. So this is the whole story. Now comes Ali, another righteous person. And there is no argument. When he was leader, everybody pledged allegiance. By the way, he did not want it. Because he knew who brought down Osman. And his own son was injured in that process. What happens soon? This rebellion by Aisha. Now, what happened to Aisha's mind? How can you do that? To her credit, she apologized. In Islam, once you apologize sincerely, you restore your position with Allah. And Ali indeed forgave her. But then comes the rebellion of Muawiyah. That ended up with assassination. People don't realize that assassination was not by follower of Muawiyah. Shaitan is very sneaky. It was by those who objected to Ali being lenient. Because Ali wanted to make peace. Whatever the reason was, but he's the Khalifa, he has the right. He wanted to make peace. But that people who killed him, the Kharijites, again, they could not tolerate that. For them, they are the decision makers. They said it's not allowed, therefore we are. So they become the judge. They become Allah. They decided for Ali that it's wrong. And they killed him. But to the point of Muawiyah, why on earth would you rebel? Why would you do that? Did Ali go against Islam? Is there any legitimate reason for you to rebel? No. Shaitan never has a reason. Shaitan never asks the question, why am I doing this? Go back. Why did you mislead Alam? What did you gain out of it? Why did you want to mislead the whole humanity? What do you gain out of it? So what did Muawiyah do? He went against Ali. And what did he gain? Hell in eternity. If you don't believe me, read Surah Baqarah 159 to 161. History tells us he never regretted. Going against a Khalifa, fighting and killing scores. Just killing one is tantamount to killing the whole humanity. How many did you guys, your army killed? But they did it. Nobody asked. No, Muawiyah could not ask this question. When is it allowed to take up arms against a legitimate? Is there any doubt Ali was legitimate? As a matter of fact, Ali is the only one, only Khalifa who is supported by both Shia and Sunni. Historically, that's the only consensus, holy consensus. But you revolted against him. When can you disobey a Khalifa? Only time you can disobey if it goes directly against Allah and His Prophet, like that lady did with Omar. But after bringing it up, see, it's not about Islam, it's about your own control. And this is how Shaitan gets to us. I want control. For what? For what do you want to control? So you can go to hell? Can you get one extra food out of your obsession than what Allah has kept for your risk? Zero. See, it's the lack of akal. It's the sheer stupidity that allowed these people. And it's not enough. The worst guy possible at the time, the worst person is who? Whoever crosses the Khalifa. He becomes the leader. Think about it. We talk about kakistocracy, the most ineligible person ruling. This is the guy. And he becomes the leader. How does he do that? By tricking Hassan. Hassan was a legitimate ruler. People always talk about, oh, we have 4 Rashedun Caliphate. It's not 4. Hassan is the 5th. He was legitimate. There's no doubt he was the right one. Because what is the criterion for Khalifa? The most righteous one. Who is more righteous? Do you know any other righteous person more righteous than Hassan at that time? And who is the most wretched person? Whoever just finished fighting with Ali. And now you're telling me that Hassan could be replaced with Muawiyah, no problem. And what is the excuse? Why did Hassan agree? No, brother. That's not the question you should be asking. You should be asking, why on earth Muawiyah wants power? It's a duty. What Ali was doing is a duty. Just like Abu Bakr waged war against 100,000 new Muslims. They were all Muslims, by the way. He waged war 100,000. Ali was doing exactly the same. He was waging war against Muawiyah because Muawiyah was the Satanic agent at that time, just like Abu Bakr's 100,000. It's a duty. Where does the duty come from? Surah 49, verse 9. It says very clearly, if you have a dispute between two parties, you make peace. If one party transgresses against the other, then fight. Fight until they are submit to the rule of Allah. So Ali was doing the legitimate war. There is no exception. It doesn't say until something else happens. Until they submit. Ali was under the impression that rather than crushing them completely, when they proposed, Munafiqs always give proposal of peace. When they said, we'll submit to arbitration. First time, you cannot do twice. First time, he said, okay, that sounds like a good idea, but he did not realize that it's not going to, Munafiq never makes an agreement. You see the traits of Munafiq. They lie when they make an agreement. They make a promise, they break. When they make an agreement, they do not honor. And when they argue viciously and illogically. Ali knew that, but it was the first time. Kharajat knew that, but they could not think of this. How? You cannot assume they are Munafiq. So Ali gave the chance, and that's why Kharajat killed him. But for all reasons, Ali was the right guy. He was fighting war of real jihad. Because you have to do jihad, just like Abu Bakr did, against your own people, if there is a legitimate reason. And there is no better legitimate reason than rebellion. So what happens throughout history, and the example is from Hassan and Ali's time, rather than asking why Hassan was forced to give up Khilafa, and under what Islamic hukum that would be justified, Maghdoub would ask, why did Hassan pledge allegiance to Muawiyah if Muawiyah was kafir? You see the point? Shaitan always comes up with a stupid Bani Israel question. Why are you asking that? Why don't you ask, why was he forced? Why is he crossed? He was legitimate Khalifa. Why didn't Muawiyah pledge allegiance right away? Why didn't Muawiyah pledge allegiance to Ali? This is the second time. No, they have to question Hassan. By the way, Hassan ended up being killed by Muawiyah anyhow. So that's another part. Rather than asking Muawiyah why he rebelled against Ali, the only Khalifa that was accepted by both sects, they asked, why did Ali agree to mediation? You see, this is the courage argument. They're asking the good guy. Why don't you ask the bad guy? Why don't you ask Shaitan? No, they always ask Allah and the messenger, like Musa's time. He said, why did you get us in trouble? So what trouble, man? Ask Pharaoh, why is he oppressing? No, they would not ask Pharaoh. They will always ask the right good guys. Second, both Talha and Zubair, they regretted, by the way, they were fighting against Ali, but they both regretted and they were killed by Muawiyah's forces. Rather than asking, they regretted and they said, oh, you see, why did they fight Ali? There must be some good reason, implying that there was something wrong with Ali. This is why Bani Israel question, if you cannot avoid them, you are misled by Shaitan very easily. As a matter of fact, unless you start to ask real questions rather than Bani Israel questions, you cannot be a Mu'min, you cannot be Muslim. Because seeking knowledge involves asking real questions, not Bani Israel questions. But they are always asking Bani Israel questions. So this is the group we're dealing with, and no wonder Allah cursed them. In every salah, we said we want to avoid their path, Maghdoub and Dhawalloon. So what is so special about the Dhawalloon group? They simply don't ask any question. They just follow Shaitan. But to the credit of Dhawalloon, they are nowhere close to Maghdoub group. Dhawalloon have hope, because quite often they're just simply stupid, and you can remind them, they will come back, because the intention is not bad. Maghdoub group, the intention is always bad. So they have no hope. That's why we had this detailed discussion with 2 videos on Dhawalloon and Maghdoub. One question nobody asked, who is supposed to be the Khalifa? We know the technique. And by the way, the Khalifa is selected different ways, all of them. Abu Bakr one way, Umar another way, Usman another way, Ali another way. But one criteria was always there. Whoever is the most righteous is the Khalifa. What happened to the process with Muawiyah or Yazid? What happened to that process? Do you wonder what kind of idiocy that could be? They are laying the foundation of Islam, the latest, the full version of Islam, and you are doing these stupid things. That's why I call it kakistocracy. It's not sultanate, it's not Khilafa, of course. It's not even fake Khilafa. This is the worst possible people are leading. Muawiyah, Yazid, and continues. Only exception was Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. And of course, we have Ibn Zubair. That's another story, and we'll see that. Then comes Hussein. Hussein, I don't know if you know it or not, there was an agreement, and that's the condition that Hassan put, that after Muawiyah dies, it will be Hussein. And of course, Munafiq never honors his promise or agreement. That was violated, just like it was violated with Ali, with his promise with Hassan was also violated. And he did his nominated his son. Yet, he had a wide range of support, including military, judiciary, aristocratic class. Who are these people? What happened to their iman? We have Battle of Karbala, the most heinous of history. took place, those acts took place October 10th, 680. The kind of brutality is just unprecedented. Like the one described in Surah Buruj, the people of the ditch. Except it was not a kafir, it was not a tyrant king, it was a cultural Muslim. They were Muslims, just the quality of Muslim, the same type of Muslim that fought Abu Bakr, that fought Osman, that fought Ali. You see, Maghdoub is always from the Muslim class, and they're the very worst. Today, nothing has changed. Can you imagine? Hussein was decapitated. And somebody was talking to the decapitated face, said, look, he just looks like Prophet Muhammad. Can you imagine? They know. And indeed, Hussein's son, Ali Akbar, he was even more strikingly similar to Prophet Muhammad. He was also martyred. When is it allowed to decapitate a dead body, even if it is righteous? And they do that when they're wrong. And they flaunt it. They're proud of it. They're making fun of the face. They look how closely he looks like Prophet Muhammad, as if it's a good thing. They had no remorse. Shaitan has no remorse whatsoever. Have you ever heard any of these agents of Shaitan ever repented? Any so-called sultan or Khalifa or president, they are all Sisi. They are all Hosni Mubarak. They have never any regret. Look around. In Saudi Arabia, they say, well, what is it? Faisal, King Faisal was a good man. Did he ever regret? Did he ever give up? They died, Surah Baqarah, read it, 59 to 61. They die without regret. And that's why Allah will never reduce their punishment. They never repent. This is a quote from the mother of Ibn Zubayr, and she was Asma, daughter of Abu Bakr. See, Hajjaj bin Yusuf, it's not enough that he killed him. It's not enough that he decapitated him. It's not enough that he sent the head to the king of the time. May Allah have lana on them. It's not enough. He hangs his body and it almost rots. That's not enough. He goes to the mother. He tells the mother to come over here. And he tells his people that if she doesn't come by herself, 100-year-old Abu Bakr's daughter. These are the most righteous people. He tells her, tell her that if she doesn't come, I'll drag her by her hair. And she replies that, feel free, I dare you. So he goes there and he taunts her. You see how Shaitan operates? He taunts her that, oh, how do you like the way I treated the enemy of Islam? He's calling Ibn Zubayr, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, enemy of Islam. And he taunts the mother. This is the mother who told Ibn Zubayr to continue fighting because all his people. That's another point. Why did you leave? He ruled, he was Khalifa for 9 years. Why did you abandon him? What allows you to abandon the Khalifa? But she told him that continue fighting. You're not fighting for outcome in dunya. It was for akhirah. If you're fighting for Allah's sake, why should you stop? She also asked him to remove his shield. So what is it for? Don't you have tawakkul on Allah? And that lady, this Hajjaj bin Yusuf, is telling her that, oh, how do you like to treat, how did you like the way I treated enemy of Islam? You know what she said? She said, you have destroyed his dunya by destroying your akhirah. It's so profound. This is what happens to shaitan. Shaitan attempts to destroy our dunya. All he gains is destruction of his akhirah. Shaitanic agents are exactly the same mindset. This Hajjaj bin Yusuf did not stop there. He was promoted. He was gifted the governorship of Medina. And Medina people started to complain against him. Then they moved him to Iraq to be governor there, because Iraq was a very troubled spot. So I think it's Abdul Malik, another tyrant, felt that maybe Hajjaj can, with his ruthlessness, he can fix them. You know, he went to the mosque and gave a speech to the ulama. He said, I don't know how were you treated by previous rulers. He said, well, they were killing, jail sentence, sometimes torture. He said, no, I do not know any of those. I only know sword. See the audacity. Who is he addressing? Ulama. Who should be in power? Best ulama. Who is in power? The worst people possible, worst person possible. And here's the governor. I only know sword. Doesn't it sound like Sisi today? The martyrdom of Abdullah ibn Zubayr, you should read up on this. Anwar al-Waqi has a very beautiful recording of this episode, but it's quite heartbreaking. But even they were fighting during Hajj, you know, it's haram to fight in Hajj. They laid siege for 6 months. We talk about Gaza. They were doing that to Khalifa of the time, all the righteous people. And they're fighting in Kaaba. In Kaaba, you cannot fight in even any time. They're fighting in Kaaba in Hajj time. Even then, Allah gave signs. There was a sudden thunderstorm. And fighters started to challenge. They said, maybe Allah doesn't want us. And he uses his crooked shaitanic logic to tell them, no, this is a sign of victory. Shaitan always turns completely something upside down. Again, his head was sent to Abdul Malik. These are some ruthless people. We talk about Netanyahu, we talk about Hitler. They're nothing compared to this. Then they pillage, and this is a fact, both in Medina, same group of people. rape, and all kind of mischief, random. This one, I think 60, 80 was in Medina, and that was like whole week, and this is for a month going on. And he was indeed the most ruthless regime in history of the time. At the time, he killed so many ulama ruthlessly. So you have to understand the mindset of this. This is truly shaitanic mindset. Not only those killers, the one who appointed him, the kings. And this is history. So these are the complete manifestation of shaitanic promise in 4:119. They are not, Shaitan is not inspiring them anymore. He's ordering them. You see, number one is Dhalala. Number two is invoke, desire for sex, money, and control. Number three is order. Number four is order. So they're completely possessed by Shaitan, taking order from Shaitan, 100%. Nothing has changed today, by the way. Throughout history, they only got worse. Look at history now. When I say Hajjaj ibn Yusuf was the worst of the time, Karbala is the worst of the time, it progressively became worse. And that's the nature of history, and that's the nature of Shaitan. So take the history of Egypt, Rashedun Caliphate to fake Khilafah to kingdom to nation state dictator, dictatorship to, dictatorship democracy to dictatorship. Progressively become worse. People don't realize that. Even though the first atrocity is the most pivotal, and Allah said in 2 verses that if you start a fitna, if you start a bad thing, you will carry the burden rest of dunya until the day of judgment without decreasing the burden of individual sinners. Whoever followed that. So this guy, Shaitan started, and this guy, Muawiyah started this last one, and it continues. So all the dictatorships currently with Sisi, all of them will fall on the same guy, but individual sin would not be diminished. They are all accountable. But this guy will carry the burden of all of them without decreasing the burden of individuals. The point I'm making, it progressively became worse. History of India, it was Khalifah Rashedun, then British colony to nation state, stooge, and they created a Islamic republic. Can you imagine? This is the Maghdoub state. And they say, remember, they made a nuclear bomb and said, this is Islamic bomb. Where is the Islamic bomb now? Pakistan turned out to be the worst country ever created. You know why? Because that's the only country repeatedly bombed by US ally. They are worshipping US, and US is bombing them for non-stop 8 years. Even big Shaitan does not bomb his allies. But Pakistan did. And Pakistan is the only country sitting with a nuclear bomb. It's a true Maghdoub state. Fast forward 1300 years, what you have, here's one. Imam of Peace, another cultural Maghdoub Muslim. They sail the oceans for a sandwich. Is this that good? To talking about the latest flotilla in Gaza. You'll always find these imams are the worst offenders. And I would not bore you with all the other things. You can just look around. Yesterday, Qatar signed a defense contract with Israel. A few weeks ago, here it is. Gulf state gave, according to Trump, $10 trillion as the genocide continues. You see, first round to kufr. So this is the big picture. We talked about HSSA, right? The honey, sugar, saccharin, aspartame, to nothing at the end. This is the Satanic degradation route. So we started off Khilafa Rashedun, then it became kingdom. It doesn't matter how we call it. Muawiyah started the kingdom. That kingdom continued, Umayyad, Abbasid, and whatever, they continued. Then came the nation-state kingdom, like Jordan and Saudi Arabia and Emirate, progressively worse. Then we have democracy, mashallah, we have Turkey, and nowadays we talk about Tunisia and all these places. Egypt, what happened to that democracy? It got replaced with fake democracy, and that's the lowest status of Jahiliyyah. Whereas Rashedun Caliphate had actually progressively shown greater knowledge. See, with Abu Bakr, we did not know how to fight 100,000 of these rebels. With Umar, we did not know. We learned how to fight Persian Empire and Roman Empire. With Usman, we learned how to treat rebels. Great example. The perseverance he showed. Great example. Ali showed how to treat rebellion. Ibn Zubayr, same, continues. How to defend your Khilafa. So what? They were martyred. Isn't that the best status? That was Rashedun Caliphate. But we have subscribed to the Satanic one, and we continue. So challenge now how to reverse from here to there. We talked about that in technology development courses. You cannot jump. You cannot occupy Wall Street and call it Abu Bakr Street. It doesn't work that way. Even though some delusional so-called Islamic organization think so. You cannot turn nation state into Islamic. Just can't. You have to go back to the honey standard. That's why today, Iran or Afghanistan, none of them qualifies to be correct Khalifa. They don't. So what do? We go back to honey standard at every level. It will not be complete unless we do this little discussion of Iran and Afghanistan. Iran is a nation state converted into Shia state. That is it. It's not an Islamic state. Afghanistan is also a nation state. There is no other definition. Converted into Sunni state. There is no other definition. That's why here you have president, right? You have president, you have quota for Jews, all kind of nonsense. They are not in Islam. Any brand of Islam doesn't have that. Here you have all the ministries. They are longing to be part of mainstream. We have Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Interior. Where do you get this? We have Ministry of Education. We have justice system. We're training judges with Taghut law. We have taxes. We have all kinds of nonsense that appear that have nothing to do with Islam. So really, literally, it's a Sunni state. Iran is a member of UN, and you know the rest of the episode. Even yesterday, they disclosed that it was the Atomic Energy Commission that was leaking the information about Iranian scientists, and that's how Israel was killing them. So I said immediately, why did they get out of the UN? But they don't. Afghanistan is longing to get back to UN. So how do you do this? We recognize how Shaitan attacks. We have to fix our Dhalala. We have to control our lust. We have to stop taking orders from Shaitan. Because we know Shaitan will make a small opening, very small, and you just seem unimportant. So, brother, it's just one thing. What do? We have to have medicine. No, you don't have to have medicine. Prophet said, Quran said honey, and Prophet said black seed and hijama. So they always give you false excuse. Throughout history, that's what has happened. No, use your akal, brother, and do not allow shaitan to get that opening for you. So you find that, you say astaghfirullah right now, and A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, and go back to your akal. Not very difficult. You have it. When you forget, shaitan is always there, Maghdoub is always there. At no time Maghdoub was absent. Prophet had to kill 700 of them. So we avoid shaitan and we follow Islam. And we recognize the degradation shaitan has caused. Most importantly, degradation in education. It used to be Quran and Hadith as a source of question and answer, and that is the process Prophet taught. Mantiq and Aql. Today you ask question, madrasas teach Mantiq as a very difficult topic. They have forgotten Mantiq is what? It's the logic with Aql, Quran, Hadith. Anybody should be able to do it. It's not a new technique. That devolved into Quran, Hadith as the source, but Madhab as the third point. This is the Dhalala. First university created by Muslims started to teach Maliki Madhab. So when you become a graduate, you teach Maliki Madhab. You don't teach Islam. That's the first revelation. And of course, After that, there's no going back. Progressively became worse. So this is the value of research. We talk about our research university. Literally, it decreases the percentage of corrupt people to low. And that's the purpose. Ever since Rashedun Caliphate, it has been going up, corrupt people. Now we have 100 times more corrupt people than righteous people. We want to reverse that. And to be able to do that, you have to have education. You have to create real ulama. So this is the education scheme. All prophets came with this message 2:51, which is the foundation of our university. They purify, recite Quran, purify, teach them kitab and hikmah. Hikmah is what? Ability to conclude from Quran based on hadith. And teach what you did not know. New knowledge. Talk to any madrasa, talk to any university. What new knowledge have you introduced? People are happy with whatever was done before. Without new knowledge, you are not increasing your ilm. You are being indoctrinated. Very interestingly, right after that, Allah says, remember me, I'll remember you. Thank me and never be ungrateful. Right after that, Allah is saying the value of seek comfort in patience and prayer. Patience and salah. Allah is teaching patience. Right away, about matter. You see, after yawm comes martyrdom. Be ready to be martyred. Don't run away from it. Those are the examples we have from Rashedun Caliphate. Can you imagine? We're talking about Abu Bakr, only one who had natural death. Omar, Usman, Ali, Hassan, Hussein, Ibn Zubayr, even Omar ibn Abdul Aziz, all of them martyred. Education comes with the longing for martyrdom. It doesn't come with longing for money and sex and control. And Allah then right away tells us we'll be tested with fear, famine, loss of property, life, crops. These are not easy. The examples you have from Rashedun Caliphate are full of this. All the prophets had this. You have to be tested. So don't brag around that, I have a diploma now, I'm an alim, therefore I qualified. I have fought in a war, therefore I'm entitled now. Those are sick ideologies. So give me a rest, brother. I just finished fighting for 20 years. Right away, you are possessed by shaitan. These are the rightly guided. It doesn't come easy. You don't go to university and become rightly guided. Then comes the duty. If you hide the proof, once the proof has come to you, guidance come to you, if you hide it, you are in contempt. You lost all of it. It's not enough to seek knowledge. You cannot hide it. You have to live it. You have to disseminate it. Except if you do that, unless you repent, mend ways, and be it open, you cannot do just inside and just quietly go away. You have to openly admit. Then Allah is willing to forgive you. But this is the catch here. I talked about on 59 to on 61, remember? Those who kufr, who rebel against Allah, and died as kafir. No repentance, he died as kafir. There will be curse of all angels and humanity on them. This is the group we talked about. Their punishment will never be delayed, never be reduced. This is the severest warning. Just like 286, their punishment will never be reduced. We know no Maghdoub did Tawbah during the last 1400 years. Look at all the rulers. You would not find one Maghdoub who said before death even that, let me make good. I have done wrong. They did not. Shaitan never apologizes. Conclusion is the education that repair it. We need educated people who can assume leadership of the movement. True education, not somebody who has a degree from madrasa. Not somebody who will say, I cannot answer if a vaccine is good or not because I'm not a doctor. Not somebody who will go to China and US and to buy technologies. They are not leaders. They are not ulama. They are Bani Israel scholars. We need honey standard, that's the Rashedun Caliphate. We need to see everything, what they had. We want to turn back there. Dismantle. It's not enough to talk about it. It's not enough to try to jump from Wall Street to Abu Bakr Street or CIA to GDI, whatever. We have FBI to May2 or whatever. No. Solution is not there. Solution is to dismantle every infrastructure, from personal belief to UN indoctrination. Everything has to be dismantled, brought down, zero. Just like it was with Makkah, victory of Makkah. You cannot have a ministry. You cannot have a government control, healthcare, talk about anything. Just go back, study what it was in Khalifa Rashedun time, and go back there. Don't tell me that you have to do this. The moment you say you have to do this, you realize shaitan. Because only shaitan makes you think that you are reliant on shaitan. That ends this presentation.